Can we start with injury news, Steve? Callum Wilson limped off before the international break. Can you give us an update on him and how serious is the injury to Brian Fraser?
Callum won't make the weekend. Unfortunately, he picked up a thigh injury and a muscle strain. So he won't make it. Brian Fraser won't make it either. He's twisted his ankle. We don't think it's as bad as certainly what photographs were seen with him on crutches and in a boot. I think that was only pretty precautionary, but he'll not be ready for the weekend either.
Back to Old Trafford then, this weekend. How much tougher does this game become because Cristiano Ronaldo is making his Manchester United return?
Well, it's always going to be tough. And obviously with the added spice of Ronaldo coming back is added to it. But make no mistake, they've got quality players all over the pitch. So whenever you go to Old Trafford, the one thing you're going to have to do is enjoy it. Enjoy the challenge of playing against, one of the big teams of this country and relish the opportunity to go and see if we can spoil the party a bit.
Will Almiron be available, Stephen? What's your take on this club v country situation?
Well, it's a difficult one for the players. Very, very difficult because all they want to do is play football. Ultimately, the ultimate is to play for your country, and I can understand that. And of course, play on a Saturday. So they've been drawn into a very difficult situation. However, a bit of common sense has prevailed with Almiron that he's available. So we're extremely pleased that he's available for selection.
We haven't spoken to you since transfer deadline day. There was a lot of speculation that you were trying to bring players in on deadline day. The club played that down. Are you able to clarify the situation for the fans and explain what happened?
Yeah, well, I think I made it pretty clear that I would like to have brought a couple in. That wasn't possible, so I have to get on with it, and that's the top and bottom of it. I would like to. My job is to keep improving, and we should never be satisfied. So I'd have brought a couple of players in. That wasn't possible.
Could the club have done more? In your view, were you left feeling frustrated?
Well, I understood it, and I think the statement that came out. So it's the policy is what it is.
Thanks, Steve. Cheers.
Okay, Andy Sixsmith, PLP.
Morning, Steve. How much of a help or a hindrance was the international break and that break given the start Newcastle have made?
Well, help or hindrance, it is what it is. It is what it is. So, look, everybody wants to get off to a decent start. We had a decent start last year, and it was the middle bit. So, we've done okay in the large periods of games. Certainly, we have to defend better. But when there was a hindrance, it's part and parcel of it, and you have to accept it.
Last time Newcastle came off an international break, obviously they came off the back of the 3-0 defeat against Brighton, went on, I think it was 17 points out of a possible 27. How much belief is there that you can go on a similar run this time?
Well, I hope that's true again. I would accept that for sure. The international breaks are always a difficulty for everybody. You've got players playing all over the world and you're just watching to see whether they're picked up an injury, whether they're playing or not, or whether they're not, and especially now with the COVID and all the rest of it, very, very difficult. But as I said, it is what it is. But it's been even more difficult this time, especially with the South American involved with going to countries which are red listed, and maybe the government have to get involved the next time.
Just one on Callum. What's the prognosis on him? You mentioned it's a thigh muscle injury. How long potentially are we looking at now?
Well, we're not going to put a time scale on it. It's frustrating, really frustrating for Callum and for us. And, he's got 2 goals in 3 games as well, So it's an unfortunate that he's picked up this thigh injury. We've got to just give it as long as we can.
We know, obviously, we won't go into detail what Callum brings to the team. He brings goals. How ready are the likes of Dwight Gale, Miguel, Alan, ready to step up and provide those goals in Callum's absence?
Well, that's the challenge to all of them. We know we're without. We're striker who's capable of getting a goal. So we have to see we can, somebody can fill in his boots a little bit and accept that challenge.
I won't ask you about transfer deadline. I just want to ask you about one. Santiago Munoz, obviously there was a lot made about the whole goal background with regards to Newcastle United. Where was the thinking coming from with that signing, would you say?
Where's it coming from? Well, obviously we hope he's a quality young player who'll come into the academy setup. But he's only a kid, and we've got to give him time to settle in. But the whole hope of it is that he'll do well at the academy and ultimately come through.
Just one on Cristiano Ronaldo, obviously come back. Have you ever known a game where there's this much hype surrounding one player as tomorrow? Talk of the 3 p.m. kickoff, how many get to watch him, etc. Have you ever known anything like it?
Well, when you're the best player in the world, arguably, then this sort of thing happens. It's quite an incredible story of them going back, and I'm sure they could have sold out Old Trafford 10 times over if they wished. It's been quite remarkable. It's our job to go there and make sure we make it as difficult as we possibly can for them.
And just finally from me, obviously Ronaldo's one of several big name signings at Old Trafford from the summer. Lots made of their title chances. Where do you stand on Manchester United this year? Like you say, quality all over.
Well, we were second last year. Second last year, and brought in 3 quality players. So they've got to be there or thereabouts. And that's what the demands of Man U are. They've got to be in and around it. And they hope that they can have a good run at it. Sure, it'll be difficult, of course, with City and Chelsea and the strength of a lot of teams. But they've given themselves a hell of an opportunity.
Thanks, Steve. Best of luck this weekend.
Yes.
Thanks, Andy. We've got to Alistair McGowan at BBC Sport.
Morning, Steve. How are you?
I'm okay, Alistair. Thank you.
I was wondering if you could just clarify, are you able to say whether you were in for Hamza Chowdhury on deadline day then?
Whether I was in for him?
Yeah, you were trying to sign him. Was he one of the players you were trying to get in?
He was one of a few that we were looking at, yes.
Yeah, and in that statement that you mentioned there before, there was one line in it that said all parties were aware of budget parameters under which we are operating. So I just wondered why was there a misunderstanding between what the club had available and what you could get? Is that what it boiled down to?
Look, my job is to always try and improve the squad and never be satisfied. Never. And I thought a couple of additions to the squad on loan would help us enormously. Unfortunately, it wasn't possible to do that. And, for enablers to do it wasn't just the money side of securing a loan. It was to bring in 2 in particular. We would have to make way or make room. And we were unable to trade as well. So, I was hoping that we could trade a couple to bring in a couple, and unfortunately that didn't work and didn't happen. So frustrating, but that's the stance, and I knew what the stance of the club was. I think the statement has made it pretty obvious what it is. So I have to accept it and move on.
Dawn Thewlis, BBC Look North.
Hello, Steve.
Morning, Dawn.
Obviously, Ronaldo is one of few real absolute superstars. There are many stars in the game, but he's one of the few superstars. Is that challenge of playing against him something that the players should really relish? Because that sort of challenge can bring the best out of players, can't it?
Well, I sincerely hope so. I mean, that's the big challenges to us all, of course, and the ability for all of us to enjoy upsetting the apple cart and going and making it as difficult as we possibly can in an afternoon for Ronaldo or Man United or the rest of them. What they've got quality players all over the pitch, and it's one of them where you should really, really relish and challenge what's coming. And I hope we respond to it and really have a good go at it.
We've all seen Ronaldo and how brilliant he is, but can you put into words what he brings to a team? Because he has an aura about him as well, doesn't he? Apart from the actual skill as well.
Well, you're not going to be voted the best player in the world for, was it 7 years? Is it? Him and Messi have dominated that stage now for the last, 15 years, is it? He's been quite a remarkable player. How he's looked after himself, the goals he scored in every club he's played for is quite remarkable. What, quite rightly, in my opinion, makes him to be the best player in the world, and he has been. So, a terrific signing by Man U.
You've mentioned Callum Wilson and Ryan Fraser, but what about Carl Darlow? Because obviously he's been missing for a while with COVID. Is it possible that he could make his return tomorrow against Ronaldo at Man United? Well,
thankfully, he's trained the last week, 10 days, and there's been a big improvement on him, which we're all delighted about. He's put himself in contention. Whether he's quite ready to start, I'll have to obviously make that decision in the next 24 hours or so. But we're just pleased that he is back training with us and looks a bit more like himself, which was good to see.
Finally, how much are you personally looking forward to this game, or is it, tinged with fear?
Well, I'm never tinged with fear. It's something that we're all in it for. Either the big stages there, the big atmosphere, the big carnival, which it will be tomorrow. Have we got a pair of? I know I shouldn't say that. To go and really compete and make it as difficult as afternoon as we can, and relish it really. I mean, it's what you play for. What we're in it for is to take on the biggest and the best, and that's what we're up against this weekend.
Thanks, Don. Simon O'Rourke, ITV10.
Hi, Steve. Can I just ask, were you comfortable with the wording of the club statement? Because
it is what it is. Well, it doesn't make any difference if I'm comfortable or disappointed or what it is. It is what it is.
Fair enough. Is it for what you're saying then? Is it just that sometimes a manager naturally will just want what he wants and will push a bit?
Of course, we should never be satisfied. And I wanted to bring in a couple of players to add to the squad. That wasn't possible for whatever reason. We didn't trade well enough, and we didn't have enough room or whatever it was. So it is what it is.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Thanks, Simon. If you have a question, can you use the raise hand function for us, please? I'll take a few. Lee Ryder, Chronicle.
Steve, you talk about the policy there. I'm just wondering, can you refresh the fans on what that is?
Well, surely, the policy, you've just seen the policy with the statement, haven't you?
Yeah, but can you expand a little bit on it? Because obviously when you first come...
The policy's been written in front of you and pretty clear as far as I'm concerned. Look, I wanted to try and bring in a couple of players to add to the squad. It wasn't possible. End of. What can I do about it?
Ian Murta?
Hello, Steve.
Hello, Ian.
On the match tomorrow, Newcastle are used to being in headlines all the time, but this is a match which has been watched all over the world, and Newcastle are very, very much a supporting cast, aren't you? To the vast majority of viewers and everything. Can that help you?
Well, I hope we just don't become a supporting cast. I hope we go and
start off with it.
And make a fist of it. I do hope we can go and enjoy the whole thing. To do that, we're going to have to play very, very well. We're going to have to defend well, but let's go and make it as difficult an afternoon as we possibly can.
You called it a carnival there.
Sorry?
You called it a carnival, but I guess it's your job to stop making it a carnival.
Well, it's been spoke about now for the last week in terms of arguably one of the greatest players ever is coming back. So that's where it seems to be.
Damien Spellman, PA.
Hi, Steve. Steve, you mentioned the situation with Miguel Almiron earlier. Can you give us a bit of an insight into the process there? What's gone on so that he's available to you?
I can't really, because it's gone on. It's gone on behind the scenes constantly. What I can say is, on behalf of Miggy, he is available. We've had confirmation of that, so we are obviously pleased about that. But what's going on, I think there's still live debates going on as we speak. So, but as far as we're concerned, we're quite happy with Miggy being available.
We'll just take one more. Miles Starford.
Morning, Steve. You've always talked about wanting to improve the squad, but would you agree with the view that the squad's weaker than it was at the end of last season?
No, because we've made Joe Willock permanent. If we hadn't made Joe Willock, then you could arguably say that. But Joe Willock being ours, I believe we're the same sort of strength as we were last year. Yes, we've lost a few numbers, but let's be honest, 2, 3, 4 of them numbers weren't even in the 25-man squad. So, we have a squad of players which did very, very well at the back end of the season. I would have, there's no secret that I would like to have strengthened the squad, and that's my job. My job is never, ever to be satisfied. And, unfortunately, we weren't able to bring in a couple which would have strengthened the squad.
Okay, thanks everybody for your time. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon. Take care.
Thank you.